Nugget Bridge and Pokemon fans? We are back with the Nugget Bridge Invitational. It is getting crazy here. You just saw a nutso semifinal match. We are stepping into the other semifinal match now. It looks like we have a battle on deck between Samuel and Inanimate. Now you can see the team on screen here. It looks like we have a Blastoise and a Smeargle. Uh-oh, Smeargle. Always got to be scared when that guy shows up. And we got the Talonflame, as well as the Tyranitar, Kangaskhan, and that Hydreigon. Now, I am actually joined by Scott Glaza again, otherwise known as NB Nostrum, and Dwee is taking a little break. What is up, Scott?
Howdy, good to be here, and good to see a Blastoise, my favorite Mega Pokemon.
Yes, that fake out. Now, I don't believe we have the intel quite yet on the other team. I think Renko is Randy. Is that correct, Scott?
Yeah, so I guess we'll just have to learn Samuel's team with the audience here. But I think Randy's team does provide some interesting talking points here. We talked earlier about how Randy's kind of notorious for just using the same 6 Pokemon all season and making minor adjustments and just kind of rolling with it. But he adjusted a little bit here, which I think is smart. He does have his usual core with the Smeargle Blastoise that he's famous for, but normally he finishes that team out with Heat Rotom, Venusaur, Garchomp, and I forget the last off the top of my head, Scizor. But this time we see Talonflame, Tyranitar, Kangaskhan, and Hydreigon here. So he's got a different Mega option with Kangaskhan, and I think that was a really smart move in a tournament like this one. I think in real life it's a little bit easier just to get away with, you know that no one's going to counter team you specifically, so just use what you know works. But in a tournament like this one where his first round opponent knew there's a 100% chance of playing, his second round opponents knew there's a 50% chance, people are probably going to prepare for his main core a little bit more. So I think it was smart that he mixed things up a little bit. He still has what he likes the most, what he's the most comfortable with, but he also has some options for when people were a little more prepared for him.
Definitely agree with you there, Scott. Now, we actually do see the Smeargle Blastoise lead, double fake-out potential there. And we have the Kangaskhan and Noivern lead from Samuel. So put that one on your list there, the Noivern for Samuel and Kangaskhan. So we're starting to get a little bit of intel ourselves as well. What's going to happen turn 1? Whoa, I'm sorry, did Noivern just disappear for a second?
Yeah, I mean, he's actually learned invisibility. It's no one really knows what Noivern does, but actually there's a lot of obscure moves, apparently. What Noivern will actually likely do here, Noivern's kind of cool because, while most dragons just kind of provide a lot of offense, Noivern offers more support options. You can learn Super Fang, which is cool, safe move early in battle, so just that free 50%. You can learn Tailwind, which is a big deal, a rare in this metagame. Tailwind not likely to be super effective here, given that it's already quicker than most of Randy's team, and so is the Kangaskhan, so interesting to see what it tries to do.
All right, we do see the Mega Kang here, of course. I don't know if that's a shocker to anybody. Mega Kangaskhan there for Samuel, and we are going to see a Mega Blastoise. Yes, oh, triple cannons to my face. Give it to me. So Blastoise going Mega as well, and we see a Protect here, actually, from Blastoise, not wanting to take any damage turn 1 here. And a Spiky Shield. Uh-oh, is there going to be a fake out on Smeargle? Are we going to get a little Spiky Shield action here? And the Taunt, actually. And the Moody. There we go. So interesting turn 1 there. Moody boosting. I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a delay, but I think he lost evasiveness.
Yeah, right. Yeah, boosted special attack and lost evasiveness. So Moody not likely to do anything there. The double protect there, sort of the obvious play on Randy's end, but he does avoid allowing for any fake-out shenanigans. As Smeargle, in addition to being able to fire off that terrifying Dark Void, also offers the support of Follow Me and Focus Sash. So with the faster Noivern out there, he would be able to neutralize both Pokemon for 1 turn. As such, he doesn't want to get faked out there, since that'll prevent his disruption from working correctly, since Noivern would get an attack off there while Kangaskhan hits Blastoise for free. Taunt, actually probably not the move I would use this turn if I were Samuel, just because if Smeargle does absorb an attack with Follow Me, the taunt doesn't actually do anything. It was kind of a waste of a turn there, though he may not have too many options here, given that Smeargle's kind of going to eat those turns no matter what. If it does Follow Me here, Blastoise threatening a lot of damage here. As Aura Sphere for Kangaskhan, as Ice Beam for Noivern, in addition to Water Spout as a more general coverage move, depending on what might come out here. So Samuel's going to have to figure out if he's willing just to take that attack for free and double target the Smeargle down, or if he's going to try to switch around a little bit, try to take less damage, and maybe open himself up to the threat of Dark Void. I guess that's the scary thing about playing at Smeargle is that you're tempted to burst it down, but sometimes ignoring it is the better play.
Yeah, the threat of Dark Void is always just so brutal, and you know, you can always just pray to Gumi or whoever whoever your Poke God might be, and hope that you don't get both Pokemon put to sleep, or maybe you can get a double miss. I mean, only 80% chance there, could be lucky. And we see some next level plays here by Samuel using the pencil as opposed to the stylus. All right, the Follow Me is actually activated there by Smeargle, and the Tailwind from Noivern, so just all kinds of moves that don't do any damage. And the return from Kangaskhan into that Smeargle slot, gonna get rid of it. Even though it has the Focus Sash, the double hit from Mega Kang will put Smeargle to sleep, and back to the Pokeball it's going to go. What are we going to get? What's Blastoise up to here? Water Spout going to do a ton of damage. Blastoise still at full hit points. Nice! Water Spout. Kang in the red. Oh my gosh, that was huge. And Noivern almost down to 50% hit points, so nice Water Spout, but did lose the Smeargle.
Yeah, some devastating turn 1 damage there. Really nice play on Randy's end also. A little surprised to see her return instead of Power-Up Punch from Samuel, but I like that he used Tailwind there. If he'd used any other move with Noivern, it would have just been a dead turn because Smeargle would have absorbed everything into Follow Me anyway. So by using Tailwind, at least he gets something out of a turn. The practical value of it is very low. Kangaskhan can Sucker Punch Talonflame now, but other than that, it doesn't change anything. Blastoise would still be slower. Talonflame will still go first with Brave Bird, but at least the Tailwind effect being on the field gives him something out of that turn. Otherwise, the switch is the only thing he could have done with that Noivern slot to get anything out of it. Huge damage from Water Spout there, too. Kangaskhan's with any bulk invested are going to be able to take that single Aura Sphere from Blastoise, so Randy, instead of trying to get that knockout Water Spouts, gets Kangaskhan in range for a second hit to knock it out, and ends up getting a bunch of free damage on Noivern as well as more than he expected on Kangaskhan for it.
Yeah, that was a big play there, and I think you made the right call. Now, we do see a Protect on Noivern, and the Brave Bird right into that slot, so he protects, and the return from Kangaskhan, is it going to be enough? Yes! Kangaskhan with the critical hit on the first hit of return, feints the Talonflame. That's huge. That is humongous, guys. The Talonflame is out. That priority is gone. The Aura Sphere, though, from Blastoise will finish off this Kang, but 2 Pokemon down. However, he does lose his Mega.
Yeah, I mean, normally you feel good about getting that Mega down, but it's a big knockout this early in the game. Being down 3-2 really limits Randy's options, especially because it's important to keep Blastoise at high HP for it to be able to use its Water-type attack, and now it's very simple for Samuel to start wearing down that Blastoise to try to prevent Bob from being able to do too much here. Not getting an attack off with Talonflame is really going to make this more challenging for Randy. Samuel's been taking some time to figure out what he wants to do here. He's got 2 Pokemon, so he's both going to take a moment here to try to figure out how can I safely end this game, as well as maybe in a perfect world he wants to end the game without revealing his final Pokemon to not deny that information to Randy.
Yeah, very true. It does show the Heat Rotom, like you had mentioned, I believe, before the match actually began. And the Hydreigon there comes in for Randy up top. So Randy's on top, guys. I just want to remind you, got Randy up top and Samuel down there on the bottom. Both competitors battling it out through this Nugget Bridge Invitational, making it into the semifinals. Yeah,
and I'm sure this is going to be a challenging position considering that both players trying to get to the finals, get that extra $125, and play for the $250 more for winning that round. And in Samuel's case, he's probably trying to be very deliberate here. He's definitely got a huge advantageous position where he can't quite just click Draco Meteor and Thunderbolt and wait till he wins, but he's pretty close to that point, right? So he wants to not take any unnecessary risks here, but feeling good. But you never want to choke up a game like this when money's on the line.
I agree with you there. We do see the Draco Meteor from the Noivern. It does end up connecting, and onto the Hydreigon. I think it might be enough. And Noivern's attack falls, and special attack falls, and we do see the Hydreigon faint there, and there's the Thunderbolt. Pretty much like you said, went right down like that, Scott. The no-brainer Thunderbolt, the no-brainer Draco Meteor wipes both of those Pokemon off the field, and they go back to their trainers, and it looks like we have a Game 1 win there for Samuel.
Yeah, pretty clean win there. Randy does get a little information there with Rotom knocking out Blastoise with Thunderbolt, which doesn't normally happen, so he learns an item. But beyond that, Not a very heartening game one for Randy. I know he's lost several game ones in this tournament already. I think he mentioned he lost to in Fuego in like 3 or 4 turns in their game one. So he's no stranger to having to battle back in a series. He does get some information here, but not really much, right? Kangaskhan pretty much did what we'd expected to. We saw Rotom's item, which is useful. Noivern, again, just kind of used the standard moves here. So probably not the best loss Randy's ever taken in the first game as far as not learning a whole lot, but hopefully he'll have a little better game plan for this second game here. Noivern Kangaskhan sort of the lead you expect to see from Noivern teams, so I guess it's kind of worrying going into game 2, right? Like, he got probably what he was expecting and wasn't able to do so well against it. Maybe it's time for Randy to switch up his plan here. We know he's got another Mega that he might want to use here. Other interesting thing in the last game was Randy just letting Hydreigon go down to Noivern. It'll be interesting to see if that means that Randy's using the popular Choice Spec set or even Choice Scarf potentially. So he didn't have the option of protecting, or if he just wanted to bluff having one of those sets, so he allowed his Hydreigon to get knocked out, knowing that he was probably going to lose the game anyway, to kind of put that seed into his opponent's head where I've got this item, maybe I don't. But I don't know. This would be a tough spot if you're Randy here to try to go back to the drawing board because nothing went right in that first game.
Yeah, unfortunately, didn't get to do much at all, really. The elimination of the Smeargle, like, right off the bat, and then the Talonflame falling to that massive critical hit, even though it probably would have fallen anyway, regardless of the crit, just a little over damage there is unfortunate. The Brave Bird going into the Protect, so it's not that he can't do it. It's just like you said, it's gonna require those next level plays, and we haven't seen a lot of Sam's team. I believe we only got the reveal on 3 Pokemon. Is that correct? King, Noivern, Heat Rotom.
Yeah, which it makes it that much worse, right? I mean, there's half the team you didn't even get to see in the first game there, and now he's in a must-win game 2. So you've got to make some assumptions here. I mean, we still actually don't know the other 3 Pokemon ourselves, but hopefully, Randy's seeing his Pokemon. He has a better idea what he's going to run into this game. He's definitely going to need to lead differently this time, I think. It was all too easy for Samuel to get the advantage with the Kangaskhan Noivern lead there. He made simple but correct plays there, and it just doesn't seem like it's an advantageous matchup. So as much as Randy loves leading with Blastoise Smeargle, I think he's going to have to show the other pieces he brought for this tournament this time and deviate a little bit.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if we see that same lead. So it looks like both trainers ready to go here. Randy, I should say, sends out the actually Kangaskhan Smeargle this time, so no Blastoise. And we see the Kangaskhan Garchomp lead for Sam on the bottom.
Well, I like that Randy switched it up there. He brings the more conventional Smeargle cheese option with the Smeargle Kangaskhan matchup, but probably not real excited with what he sees on the other side there. I think a lot of players have probably played against Kangaskhan Smeargle this year and saw that their best counter matchup was Kangaskhan Garchomp. So Sam's probably got to be feeling pretty good here. If you're picking something on his team to try to match up with this, usually this is what you want. Garchomp often carries Lumberry to help with that Dark Void. It's faster than both Kangaskhan and Smeargle. It's hard to use a move like a Fake Out on it to help set up those Dark Voids because it's got that rough skin. So an advantageous turn 1 position once again.
Yeah, it appears to be looking like it's in Samuel's favor, who did take game 1. I want to remind you guys that we are currently in the semifinals. The winner of this 2 out of 3 goes into the finals for the big money, for the potential to win $500. Both players already securing $125, but getting a guaranteed $250 whoever makes it through here. And all these competitors are really, really talented guys. This is the top 32 players from Season 3 of Nugget Bridge, and this is the big invitational.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these players have played the World Championships before. Randy played in there last year. He qualified, the only player who qualified in the Masters Division for Canada this year. So he's holding down the fort, and predictably, I think he was the only Canadian player in this tournament as well. So Canada's final hope here, trying to hold up the fort. 1 game from his country being eliminated here. We'll see if Randy can be a patriot and spread the message of maple syrup all over Pokemon.
And sorries, maple syrup and sorries all over. Sorry about that. Sorry I hit you with my Kangaskhan. Sorry. All right, so we see the Mega Kangaskhan there from Samuel, and of course the Mega Kangaskhan as well. Is it going to be a speed tie fake out fest here? Let's see what happens. We do see the fake out. Who gets it off? It looks like it's onto that Smeargle from Samuel's Kangaskhan. Smeargle losing a lot of health there. Substitute from Garchomp. Uh-oh, he's hiding. That's nice. Getting the substitute up. Turn 1. The return, though, from Kang to Kang. Nice. Doesn't go with the fake out. Does a lot of damage. Kangaskhan into the yellow, but Garchomp behind a substitute is scary at this point.
Yeah, a good turn there. I mean, that's pretty much as much as you can hope for if you're playing from Samuel's side there. I mean, he takes a bunch of free damage in his Kangaskhan, which is always unfortunate, but getting that substitute on Garchomp makes him extremely threatening to both Kangaskhan and to Smeargle. The fact that we saw it played out this way, I'm going to guess that this Garchomp probably doesn't have Lumberry, so getting the substitute up to not have to worry about Dark Void is important, but a much better position now for him than he could have been in. Kangaskhan likely doesn't have Protect, so he's going to be careful with the Earthquakes if he wants to use it. Would likely have to switch with it, but he could get some damage in both Pokemon that way. But a nice position here. Substitute on Garchomp isn't something we've seen a whole lot of recently, but I think it's something that players are starting to remember is pretty difficult to play against. Like, Substitute in general seems to be coming back in the metagame. Kangaskhan kind of worked it out since being able to get hit twice by the most common Pokemon in the metagame really hurts the value of Substitute. But when you can get it up for free like that, it's still really strong. So Sam showing why it's so effective here. He's beaten a lot of awfully good opponents to get to where he's at, so he must be doing something right, and the movesets are always part of that.
Yeah, now I think a lot of people are really stoked on the evasion boost that Smeargle got, and everyone's saying, "Here we go! Is Smeargle going to championship? Smeargle going to championship MVP evasion this? Okay, spiky shield. So it looks like Smeargle's probably going to be sticking around for another turn here. The sucker punch from Samuel's Kangaskhan onto Randy's Con doesn't do a ton of damage, takes it down to almost 50% here, and the Earthquake from Garchomp might get the feint on his own Kang here. He's risking it for the biscuit, drops his own Kang, and leaves Smeargle and Kangaskhan both on the field there. I don't know if that was exactly what he had planned, but maybe. All right, the power-up punch there takes damage. The substitute takes a little bit of damage, and again into the substitute. I think the substitute is going to end up fading after that second punch. No, does it? No, it doesn't look like it did. Wow.
Yeah, the world's bulkiest substitute there. Like, the substitute doesn't even care.
It's not even phased, man.
Yeah, I mean, just sitting there staring with its blank stuffed animal eyes, and Kangaskhan just doesn't understand. What Kangaskhan does understand, though, is it got 2 free levels of attack from that power-up punch there. So things could be a little bit worse, but still a tough spot for him. The one thing that's really troublesome here, though, is that Smeargle get another 2 levels of evasion there, though. So there's some serious danger now of Smeargle wrecking havoc. Fortunately for Samuel, he does have that substitute up on Garchomp, so Smeargle won't be able to Dark Void it. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Kangaskhan just kind of like desperation trying to break that substitute and get a Dark Void off, because even if Smeargle is double targeted now, it actually has a pretty decent chance of surviving the turn.
Yeah, that is crazy evasiveness right now. Moody Smeargle, so nasty sometimes. It's a curse and a blessing. I think last time we saw the evasiveness actually lower. But this time he's got the double stack here. The sucker punch from Kang, as expected, now going to break that substitute for sure with that double power-up punch. Kang's attack up pretty high. There it is. Also hits Garchomp down to 90 hit points. Does take a little bit of damage from the rough skin, but Kang's still in it. Gets the Earthquake off. Does it hit Smeargle? Yes, it looks like he gets the Earthquake off onto both Pokemon there. I think that we're going to see the feint on Smeargle and Kang there. How unfortunate. See you later, Schmear Doctor.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know if I want to say it's too bad, because getting 4 levels of evasion to begin with is pretty ridiculous. But you know, once you get it, you expect to dodge at least one move, right?
Yeah, something.
Nothing doing there. Little, I guess, unfortunate, sort of. But still, Randy ends up in a decent spot here. He does get rid of that substitute finally. Kangaskhan, a kind of bizarre situation too, because like you hit the Garchomp twice, but if it didn't have the substitute up, it would have actually knocked itself out on the rough skin, but it doesn't work with the substitute up. So the fact we're even in that situation to begin with was odd. But it ends up in a decent spot for Randy. Hydreigon, if it is a choice spec set, which I would assume based on the previous game, if it's probably a choice item, if it's not Haban. So Rotom should be a little bit scared here, and Garchomp is probably in range where Brave Bird can take it out, though it might be close depending on Talonflame's item and Garchomp's the way it was trained, since we did see Garchomp's substitute of Doom surviving a couple attacks before, so it's likely it's running a little more bulk than normal.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. That Garchomp's been lifting for sure. We do see the switch on the Rotom there into Justinian, the Azumarill, the beautiful Azumarill, and a Protect from Garchomp, not wanting to take that potential Brave Bird. There it is. We do see the Protect absorbing that. And a Draco Meteor doesn't affect him because of the switch into the Fairy typing. Nice. I'm loving that switch there. Gets a free play.
Yeah, perfect play by Samuel there. I mean, it's simple enough when you think about it. Like, Randy pretty much had to make the move he did unless he was just making complete off-the-wall predictions, which you have to when you're behind sometimes. But that's the advantage of Samuel earning the lead he got, is that he put himself in a position where he could make a simple play. He made the simple play, and he likely has the game in the bag now. He's going to need something really strange to happen. I guess if Randy, for some reason, does not actually have a choice item, that would be his best case scenario right now, because Talonflame without a critical hit is not going to knock out Azumarill in a single attack, and Hydreigon, while normally trained to survive a single Dragon Claw from Garchomp, would have to take a whole bunch of damage just to knock it out, so real tough spot for it here. It's going to have to get a critical hit to have a shot.
Yeah, it really is going to have to. Now, we do see the Brave Bird there from Talonflame. Boom, going across the lands. Beautiful into that beautiful Azumarill, but it manages to stick around with 66 HP and procking the Citrus Berry, getting back up to 50%, so I think that might be all she wrote. The Dragon Claw, getting the safe play onto that Talonflame, gets the feint for sure. See you later, Talonflame, back to its trainer. And the Draco Meteor, which I'm assuming it's going to be locked into now, is going to connect on Garchomp, most likely going to get the feint, and by most likely I mean definitely will, at 50% HP, but now I think it is locked, and that's got to be it. You can't hit Azumarill.
Right.
All right, and the play rough going there, it connects and gets the feint, so there it pretty much is, the play rough being super duper effective against a Dark Dragon like that. All right, Samuel, going into the finals, man. Congrats, Samuel. The 2-0 sweep. Congratulations, man. You got 250 in your pocket already.
Yeah, excellent tournament by him. In just a few minutes, we'll see him play against Baz Anderson in the finals. Really impressive run there. He just managed that game really well. He got an excellent turn one with the substitute there, and he never really choked up the control of the game. I think Pokemon's very momentum-based. In several games today, we've seen one player come out with a big advantage early and then sort of lose it to the opponent. But this time, he got control early and never relinquished it. He was able to get enough done with his own Garchomp that by the end of the game there, he was able to set up a really safe situation where he'd force the Hydreigon to lock into Draco Meteor, which made it all too easy for his Azumarill to clean up. I like that he wisely knocked out the Talonflame rather than the Hydreigon there. It made the situation much safer because he ended up with, obviously the Azumarill at the end there, where even if it had missed play rough or something, Hydreigon wouldn't have actually been able to attack it, but just smart, uses the 100% accuracy move to remove Talonflame there, plays it safe, and it was just a well-managed series by him. He's beaten a number of impressive opponents, too. He beat the Battle Room the first round, the Nugget Bridge Major winner, Dark Assassin the second round, and Laios, who we've seen on the stream earlier in the third round, and now Randy in the fourth here. So pretty accomplished opponents he's gotten through here, and Baz Anderson will be no small task in the finals.
Yeah, that's going to be big. Like Scott said, guys, let's review that real quick. I think that you can actually see the bracket on screen there. So this is it. It's come down to two contestants. It's Samuel versus Baz Anderson here, and Baz, of course, earlier eliminating a ton of big dogs throughout the show, going through Mr. Bopper, had to face Angel, Counter, and Zach. That was pretty crazy, right? Or no, Baz, I'm sorry, took on Ray Rizzo as well. So a big show for both. Samuel as well. They both had to battle hard, Scott, to get here. This is no joke.
Yeah, I mean, you assume in a tournament like this, right? I mean, you have to have pretty difficult opponents, but I think even considering the average opponent in this tournament was going to be pretty good, they had really difficult paths. I mean, Baz's especially was just ridiculous. I think if you look at Simon, Ray, Mr. Bopper, and Angel, it's hard to think of a more challenging group of opponents you could have had to go through, but he was able to do it, and I think it makes it that much more impressive that he made it to the finals considering that. And Samuel, similarly knocked out a bunch of strong opponents, so to get to the finals in a tournament like this, you're really going to be tested, and both of these guys were. So it'll be interesting to see, I guess, which one of them will be able to come out on top here. We've had the chance to see both of their teams, and Baz's team seems a little more setup-based, whereas Samuel's team has seemed a little bit more conventional, I guess. He's got some support moves you don't always see on the Pokemon he's using, but it was a little more of a good Stuffsy team. He does have Tailwind on Noivern and Taunt on Noivern, as well as Substitute on Garchomp, which won't be particularly fond of Raichu's Encore. So Raichu, again, like it was the last time we saw Baz on stream, it would likely be a big player here, but interesting to see how this one plays out. I think it could definitely go either way easily, and it'll come down to I guess how well both players can get control of the game early and keep it, because I think both of them are going to have a hard time turning around losing games given this matchup.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Scott. It's all really, really important information. And again, guys, I just wanted to remind you that we're talking about Baz Anderson and Sam here. Sam, you just saw, and Baz, you just saw in the in the previous match. So we've seen them both pretty recently. Sam was bringing that team with the Kangaskhan, the Noivern. Like Scott mentioned, it could be Raichu is a big threat there, considering Noivern is a support Noivern. And then the Heat Rotom, Garchomp, Azumarill. And I don't know if we ever revealed that final Pokemon there, Scott.
I don't think we did, so it's a mystery to everyone. Hopefully we'll find out this time.
Yes, Baz might have a little intel, I'm sure, if he's spoken to other members throughout the tournament. And then Baz, of course, like we said, bringing that Raichu, Amoonguss, Tyranitar, Aegislash, Azumarill, Talonflame. I did see some people in the chat asking, what was the item on Rotom? What was the item on Rotom? It was a Life Orb, so Rotom's hitting like a truck. I think it was the Life Orb. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Scott.
You're correct, yeah. And apparently the Pokemon we haven't seen from Samuel is Ferrothorn. So we saw that being very effective in one of the earlier matches on stream. I don't know if this is a super favorable matchup for Ferrothorn, though it is pretty effective against Tyranitar, immune to Amoonguss's tricks, decently effective against Raichu as well, and also Azumarill, I guess. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see Ferrothorn, actually, now the more I think about it. So, that hidden Pokemon has a pretty good matchup after all.
The real threat there is just going to be that Talonflame that Baz has. That's what it's going to come down to, potentially, if we see that. Really just protecting the Talonflame, keeping it around until that Ferrothorn shows itself. Because otherwise it could have a bad time here.
Yeah, I think it definitely will. I think the more I look at the matchup, it seems like Talonflame and Ferrothorn are likely to be the two keys for the teams here, because while there's other ways that Samuel could beat Baz, Ferrothorn stands out as the Pokemon with a great matchup against him. So with only one Pokemon that really effectively removes it, it's going to be important for him to deal with that effectively. The other Pokemon that Baz is going to have to use to try to deal with that Ferrothorn is going to be Aegislash, which is certainly not the first Pokemon that comes to mind when you think of counters to Ferrothorn, but it's the best he's got. I don't know if what he's using for a moveset. It's common for a lot of Aegislash to use Sacred Sword now, which would help a little bit. If not, Shadow Ball actually does pretty similar damage and doesn't deal with Iron Barbs. So either way, he'll do decent chunks there, but it's certainly not the most positive matchup with Ferrothorn I've ever seen, and it's going to be really important for him to be careful about how he deals with that, because taking unnecessary damage on his counters is probably going to be game-losing, and Samuel noticed that too. So, even just by kind of like showing Ferrothorn, maybe like switching it out a few times, or kind of like just creating a situation where there's temptation to take damage on those two scarce and important counters will give him the opportunity to get control of this game.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. That's the Ferrothorn play. It's not the most favorable matchup ever, but it can be advantageous in this one. Now, I think what a lot of people have been asking, Scott, and I'm sure that you have tons of information for everybody, is that they're like, how do I get into these tournaments? Like, what tournament is this? I can remind them, of course, again, it's the Nugget Bridge Invitational. This is your Season 3, correct, Scott? And people want to know, how do I get involved? What's up? Tell them.
Well, for this specific tournament, this is the kind of the end of the Nugget Bridge circuit for this season. Basically, what the Nugget Bridge circuit consists of is that normally, like every week, we have one live tournament. They're usually on the weekend. The hours for the tournament takes place at changes a bit because we try to accommodate people in all time zones. Sometimes it'll be the evening your time, sometimes it'll be in the morning, sometimes it'll be the afternoon. We just try to find times where it's acceptable for everyone, depending on their schedules. You can see those tournaments on the online tournament section of the forum on nuggetbridge.com. So players who get to this tournament by being or completing one of 3 qualifications. Well, I guess technically 4. The most common is that you're the top 16 in the circuit points, which you get from doing well in those tournaments, as well as the other online tournaments on Nugget Bridge. The top 16 players from that end up getting into this tournament. That was actually the top 18 this year, because 2 invites weren't used. Actually, I think 3 weren't used, so the top 19, I guess. 2 invites weren't used. Also, the top 8 finishers of the Nugget Bridge Major got automatic invites to this tournament. That's the other big tournament we do on Nugget Bridge. I believe it started in January this year. That's open to everyone. Anyone can sign up. It's the other tournament we do that gives a bunch of cash prizes. It starts out with Swiss, like you'd play in a live tournament if you were to go to one, which is a bunch of best-of-3 rounds, unlike the best-of-1 you do in real life. And there's a top cut. I think we cut everyone who had at least a 7-2 record this year, since with an online tournament, there's no reason for us to deal with opponent win percentage like people have to in real life. So that's the other way you can get in. The top 8 from there did. The top 2 players from last year's Invitational made it, and then the top 2 teams from the Dodrio Cup made it, which was our other official tournament. We were mimicking the format of the Koro Koro Cup from Japan, which was a way that juniors could qualify for the World Championships last year that we thought was cool, where basically you had teams of 3 players, and each of you made a team of 6 Pokemon, but you couldn't use the same, species clause applied across all 3 teams. So between the 3 of you had to use 18 different Pokemon, and you played against other teams in a single elimination bracket, and whichever team won 2 games won. And then the top 2 teams who made the finals of that tournament ended up making it. A lot of the famous players in this tournament actually qualified that way. Cybertron got in that way. He was on a team with Ray Rizzo and Infuego, who lost in the round of 8. And then the other team that made it that way was Unreality. And then the tournament organizer, McCary, and I, who, I guess the 2 of us didn't use our invite since we're here helping put on the show. So I guess those are the ways you can make it to a tournament. And as far as qualifying, you can do it that way. And also, I think all those tournaments on their own are a lot of fun. I think I played in both the Major and the Dodrio Cup, and I played in a few of the live tournaments too. And it's a good way to practice and have fun with Pokemon. So I definitely suggest checking those out if you can.
All right, guys. I believe both of our players are actually getting ready right now. And as Scott said, just the best thing you can do is probably just go to nuggetbridge.com and you can learn a lot. It seems like there's a lot of different ways to get into this tournament. 32 slots available. So just play well and be in those Nugget Bridge tournaments. I think we're going to take just a very, very short break to get set up for the grand finals of the Nugget Bridge Invitational. Anything to add, Scott, before we head to break?
It should be it. Stay tuned in. Finals are coming soon.
Yeah, it's the real deal, guys. $1,000 in prizes on the line. See you in just a second.